Book 69 of 2020 was How to Deal with Difficult People by Gill Hasson. So I listened to this book on audio, and Hasson essentially provides you with some practical strategies of how to deal with difficult and impossible people. So some people that Gill cites are people who are openly hostile, who are kind of instrumentally aggressive in trying to get what they want. Passive aggressive people who are indirectly and deviously hostile and kind of play the victim. And then passive people who kind of people please and avoid any kind of type of decision or friction. So Hasson kind of emphasises the need to monitor and take responsibility of your own responses to these difficult people so that you can avoid any kind of like learned helplessness, and also acknowledge that only you have the power to make yourself feel a certain way. You know, a lot of people say like, oh, you made me feel like this, or you made me feel like that. Essentially, only you have the ability to allow somebody to make you feel a certain way, and you can kind of catch yourself doing that and kind of reframe that. You know, someone's behaviour might trigger something in you, but essentially you can choose whether you are affected by that or not. So Hasson advises a kind of reassessment of your expectations of how you think that people should be behaving, and acknowledge that people have very different values, and it's, you know, there's going to be differences between people. People might come across as being difficult when actually they just view things differently to you, and also that there's a necessity to kind of be assertive in communicating what you feel and what you would like to happen. A lot of people complain about things not going their way or people not treating them how they want to be treated or whatever, but if you're not assertive enough to say what it is that you feel and what it is that you want from a situation, then you are not going to get it. And even if you are assertive, you might still not get it, but you've got more likelihood and more chance of experiencing the world how you want to experience it if you are assertive and you do tell people how you feel and you do ask for what you want. People can't mind read, and so you need to kind of, you know, say what you want. And if you don't want to say what you want, then stop complaining about it because it's your own fault. Now for impossible people, such as, you know, people who are negative and draining, and, you know, people who are kind of always complaining about something, or any kind of like drama queens who respond completely out of proportion to events, like, you know, they've got, I mean, I remember in my old staff room, there was always people complaining about something. There was always some drama going on that was completely out of proportion in the way that they were responding to it, to what actually had happened. There was one member of staff who used to, every time she'd experienced something with a student or a parent or with another member of staff, she would come into the staff room and she'd say what had happened. This one particular time, I'd actually heard what had gone on with her and this other member of staff. And she came into the staff room and she told a completely different story to what had actually happened. And I was shocked because I was like, that's not what happened. But that was her experience of it and her interpretation of it. And she was a drama queen. So she would blow everything out of proportion because she misinterpreted everything around her and would view it in ways that weren't actually happening. And I'm assuming that she was doing it without meaning to, because if she was doing it on purpose or only telling certain things, I don't know. You know, she was a difficult person, let's put it that way. Or if there are people who are so self-absorbed that they never ask you about you, and they also revel at upsetting others with kind of like compulsive, sly remarks. I definitely experienced this in my old staff room. So, you know, I don't think some of them ever asked me anything about myself, anything about what I was doing, anything about my life situation, like nothing. They were not interested in me at all. They would like to talk about themselves 24/7, and, you know, if you even mentioned something about yourself, it would be brought back round to them. And, you know, quite a few of them as well made very compulsive, sly remarks in response to things that I said, and it was like, okay then. But anyway, Hasson advises you to walk away because otherwise you enable this destructive behaviour, and that is definitely what I did. I kind of just was like, there's just no point even dealing with that kind of behaviour. Hasson uses examples to illustrate her concepts, and she does these really well, but I did feel like a lot of what she was saying was pretty obvious and was pretty kind of common sense advice, which as well is a lot easier said than done. it's easier to kind of advise what to do in these situations, but to actually kind of practically achieve them is quite difficult. So I mentioned before about being assertive. Sometimes it's quite difficult to tell somebody how something makes you feel. Like I remember one particular experience at work was that this woman had said she was complaining about what was she complaining about like a pay slip, and that she had to pay for a student loan still. And I just happened to make the comment of, why do you think education should be free? And this other woman chirped up and literally like shouted at me and was saying that she thought that education should be free, and she was from a working class family, and she was like going into this onslaught of why she thought that education should be free. And I was literally just sat there like, what the hell is going on? I wasn't even talking to her, and now she's attacking me for just having a different opinion to her. And I tried to kind of like say things back. I was like, yeah, I'm from a working class family, you know, trying to basically try and have a conversation about it. And she was not interested. She shut me down completely. And then in the end, I was just like, right, there's no point me even having a conversation with this person. And I wasn't self-assertive in, you know, I wasn't assertive in that situation. I didn't say how I thought or felt, and I was very upset by it actually. But it was very difficult to say anything because she was horrible to me. So it was just a bit like, and everyone else was sat in the staff room, never even said anything. I was just like, what is going on? Like, this is a crazy situation to be in. Like, I'm being like shouted at because I have a different opinion to somebody. It was bizarre. But anyway, yeah. So I don't think it's worth actually reading because, you know, we all know difficult people and we all kind of have strategies of how to deal with them. I think the best solution to this is just stay away from these people. It's not worth your time or energy, to be honest.